Hello everybody and welcome back to Sweet and Sour Soccer, and happy Friday to you all. Guys, we're back with yet another transfer update, and we're going to be talking about my club again, Wolves, on this video, and for good reason. Wolves have been very busy in the transfer market, and there's certainly a lot going on if you're a Wolves fan at the moment. In this video, we're going to be speaking about confirmed signings, we're going to be speaking about possible signings, and we're also going to be speaking about the Joao Gomes situation, because there is just a lot to unpack with everything that's going on there. Guys, but before we start with the main point of the video, just in case you have missed it, it's been confirmed that Guedes has gone out on loan. He will be joining Benfica for the rest of the season. We're led to believe that it's just a loan with no obligation or option to buy. It is just a straight loan. Personally, I don't think it's a bad thing. I think Lopetegui wasn't really massively in favour of him. He's had a really hard time in the Premier League, hasn't adapted to the Premier League for me. And if he can go out to Benfica, play a really good way, get some goals, assists, it might just put him out there on the transfer market come the summer, and means that we can recoup the majority of what we paid for him. Unfortunately, I just don't really think he's perhaps made for English football, or even just made for this team. But guys, that is the quick update on that. So let's jump straight into the main point of the video. And we're going to start off by talking about Craig Dawson, who has been confirmed to sign $3.3 million deal for the 32-year-old, very experienced midfielder. We're led to believe that we were in for him over the course of the summer, and at the time it didn't get done then. Dawson wanted to move then. Apparently he's wanted to move closer to his family for some time. I think they might actually live within the Manchester area, and he's actually been travelling down every day, down to London, and especially coming towards the end of his career. You could see why maybe he's very happy to get this switch to Wolves, and obviously, just be closer to his family. What are we going to get with Craig Dawson? Well, it looks like West Ham fans were really kind of upset that he was leaving. I think there's maybe some acceptance that it was his time to go. But at the same time, it did look like West Ham fans are quite upset. And I think that's really for the passion and just everything he showed on the pitch. We are going to get one of those defenders that isn't afraid to throw himself in front of defensive blocks. He's a big man. He's good at winning the aerial duels. Interestingly, it's going to be interesting to see whether he can adapt to Julian Lopetegui's kind of way of passing out from the back. I've seen a lot of his long ball play. I'm just not so sure that we've seen much of his short ball play, but that's more probably down to the teams that he's been under rather than, any shortcomings of himself. So that's going to be interesting to see if he can adapt to the system. But I think we're getting a, experienced defender at a cheap price, especially in the January transfer market, which will offer a bit more, cover and a bit more experience to this team. I like Joao Gomes, but I haven't been fully convinced by him when he has been called upon. And I think especially as we can see in some games, Julian does like to go to a back five towards the end of the game if Wolves have got the upper hand to see out the result. I think having an experienced defender like Dawson could actually win us a couple of points or hopefully a few more over the course of this second half of the season, and could be crucial in keeping us up. So in conclusion, I think it's a really good deal. But apparently that's not the only defender that we might sign. Another experienced defender, and I've mentioned this before, Felipe. Now, there's contradicting reports of what's going on here. Alex Crook, who's a very respectable journalist, said after the Dawson signing, but it's very unlikely that we would be going in for Felipe now. On the other hand, Fabrizio Romano, another very well-respected journalist, has come out today and said that he expects the deal to be done in the next couple of days, and that Wolves will be going back to negotiate to get this one done. And then Atletico themselves will be signing a defender themselves. This is going to be an interesting one, because at first I was kind of signing with Alex Crook. I thought this is really unlikely, but then I stopped and thought about it, and I thought, maybe that's because we're just so used to not having much cover in the whole team. We've for years, probably since the Nuno reign, we've just really had a very short squad, and the concept of having cover, especially experienced cover, has just not been something that we're used to. So I think this one's going to be an interesting one to watch out for when you compare him to Dawson. similar players. They're very experienced, aren't they? Very experienced. If if you're probably looking and you're going to micro-analyze it, you'd probably say that Felipe is maybe a bit better at tackling, and he's a bit better, and he's got more experience, I should say, at passing out, short passing, I should say, from the back, which obviously would probably be a bit more adaptable to the system that Julian Lopetegui's trying to play. But then on the other hand, Dawson is probably much more of he's a little bit better at the blocks and he also aerial ability. So, they're kind of similar players, very experienced. I think obviously both very small transfer fees as well. So I'd quite welcome having some, in-depth experience within the team and also just having some defensive cover as well. And much like Dawson, this would not be a break-the-bank transfer, which has been very reminiscent of what has been happening throughout the transfer window with Wolves. Obviously, we spent a lot in the summer. You can maybe see why. They're just trying to get some experience in and just adapt things a little to what is a very, small and unexperienced squad and quite a young squad as well. Obviously, we've got some experience in the likes of Joao Moutinho, but so on. Guys, we're going to move on to the Joao Gomes transfer now. But before I do, just a quick one, please. If you've not subscribed to the channel, please, could you do me a favor and hit that subscribe button, because you've stuck with me this long throughout the video. So maybe you do want to see a little bit more of this channel. So if you can do me a favor, hit that subscribe button. And whilst you're there, also hit that like button for me as well. That would mean so much. We're closing in, I think, on 4,500 subscribers. So if you could be one of them people to help us get close to that, it'd be massively appreciated. And let's jump into speaking about Joao Gomes now, because there's a hell of a lot to unpack here. Because, guys, I did a video just a few days ago talking about what he's going to offer us. And I don't feel even now that I overjumped the gun with that. The reason for that was Lyon had accepted the bid. Personal terms had been agreed. And he was pretty much about to travel to Wolverhampton to literally put pen to paper when the other club on screen currently, Lyon, did step in. Now, it's believed that Lyon have some connections with the Flamengo owners. Of course, the club Joao Gomes is currently at. Apparently, the two owners are quite friendly with each other. And Lyon are believed to have offered around €1 million or pound, I'm not quite sure which it is, more than Wolves did, which then did put the transfer off for Wolves, even though it had already been accepted. This was literally done in probably like the 23rd hour of the completion of the transfer. Since then, Wolves' calls have just been completely ignored. Everything's been ignored. They've not been able to get in contact. And in regards to the club Flamengo, there just hasn't been any discussion, especially considering, as I said, with Lyon, it does look like perhaps possibly the owners do have some link between each other. So, maybe helping a friend out. But there's a lot more to unpack with this, because Joao Gomes himself has said, I do not want to play for Lyon. My dream's to play for the Premier League, and I want to join Wolves. And further to that, we are led to believe in the last 24 hours, Julian Lopetegui has got in contact with the player and said, look, had a chat with him and said, look, please do hold out. We're going to try and get this one done. So it remains to be seen what does happen. At the moment, the club want one thing, the player wants another thing. Neither side are backing down. We don't know whether Wolves are going to be prepared to maybe match the offer. What we do know that is Lyon are possibly in for another centre midfielder that does play for the same club, and they're willing to do battle with Newcastle United to get that signature done. So maybe that's early indication that perhaps Lyon are maybe moving on from this one. But I think there's a lot to kind of before we find out the full conclusion with this, because there is a lot to unpack. I think there's a lot to be done. Firstly, the Flamengo need to actually get in contact with Wolves, even to suggest whether they are going to continue with the original bid. Are they going to say, look, you need to match the bid? That hasn't been solved yet, but the player and the club clearly want different things. It'll be interesting to see who gets the final win on this one. Hopefully it's us, but who knows? But guys, let me know your thoughts in the comments as always. I'm quite happy with everything that's happening in this transfer window for Wolves. Hopefully you guys are too. And do me a massive favour, once again, hit that like button, subscribe, and hopefully I'll catch you on another video. Have a great start to your weekend, guys. Take care. Goodbye.